Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Choda with Ignition Time and welcome to my channel. A $454 billion fund with the United States Treasury with our taxpayer dollars, which was set up as part of the CARES Act, has been largely unused. I'm talking about almost $260 billion in spare change that's been lying around and that was allocated but not appropriated, not used as a part of the CARES Act. In this video, I'll talk to you about this money. I'll answer the question, can this money actually be used for stimulus checks? And more importantly, I'll let you know what's going on with all of the money that's going on out there which was allocated as part of the CARES Act. My name is Dr. Nitin Choda with Ignition Time and welcome to my channel. If you don't know anything about me, check out my introductory video on our channel. You'll know about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. Let's jump right in. In March, with the CARES Act, $454 billion was set aside with the United States Treasury, and that money was intended to be lent to businesses, and that money was intended to be lent to state and local governments. Now, 5 months later, more than half the money, I'm talking $259 billion, is still uncommitted. In fact, you see a chart on your screen that says spare change. The chart says the CARES Act gave the Treasury Department $454 billion to backstop potentially vast lending by the Federal Reserve. Treasury has designated $195 billion to Fed programs, but most has gone unused. So, first of all, what was this money set aside for? Remember, this is almost $500 billion. And keep in mind, right now, the Democrats and the Republicans are off by right around $700 billion. Some numbers suggest $800 billion. But half of the money, in other words, $454 billion, almost $500 billion, was set aside by the United States Treasury to make sure that distressed businesses and state and local governments got help. In other words, it was to prevent small stores and it was to prevent local economies from collapsing. Now, as it turns out, even though this money was appropriated, it wasn't really allocated. In other words, the government said, okay, here's the money, it's set aside. There's an act of Congress passed by the House, passed by the Senate, signed into law by the President, and now you can take this money and do what you want with it. As it turns out, only $195 billion, I'll show you the chart again on your screen, was actually used, was actually correctly allocated, which means that we're talking about $259 billion of money that has not been used. Now, this money was set up by an act of Congress. In other words, a bill went from the House to the Senate, signed into law by the President. It was specifically allocated for distressed businesses. It was specifically allocated for state and local governments. And because this money was assigned and allocated through an act of Congress, the president cannot just sign an executive order to reallocate this money towards stimulus checks. Now, will the president try and allocate money? Probably, because right now, there's really no consensus between the House and the Senate. But I just want to be clear. I just want to let my viewers and subscribers know that even though this money is sitting there, it simply cannot be used to send out stimulus checks. Please don't blame the messenger. If I had the ability, I would just, make that money into stimulus checks and send it out to you guys. But I'm just letting you know what's happening and whether this money can indeed be appropriated by the president through an executive order, because the power of the purse rests with Congress, which means Congress would now have to pass a resolution essentially allocating more money or reallocating some portion of the money. And right now we know that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the Republicans aren't really seeing eye to eye. Even the government funding measure, even the continuing resolution, the stopgap funding bill, which was supposed to include $30 billion of farm money, even though the airlines want aid standalone as a standalone package, it's very clear that the Democrats are standing firm and essentially waiting and bidding their time for a larger stimulus package. That is what is going on right now. But I did think it was interesting to point out that all of this money that had been allocated in the beginning in March, when all of this money was allocated, there was a lot of money allocated because the expectation was that it would all be needed. But I guess they overdid it in terms of the allocation. According to Ernie Tedeschi, who's an economist at Evercore ISI, he said, and I quote, "Here we are negotiating another fiscal package and we have this money just sitting there." And frustration is growing amongst a lot of lawmakers and business groups that so much money has gone unused and has gone unallocated at a time when Republicans and Democrats are not seeing eye to eye on the second stimulus package, on the extension of enhanced unemployment benefits. It's just ironic if you really think about it. It's sad. And again, I'm reporting the numbers here. This was an article in the Wall Street Journal. I will provide you with the link in the description section below so you can check out the article for yourself. And again, taking a look at this chart one more time, $259 billion in spare change. That is a money that's out there. Now, what can be done with this money in order to be able to put it to good use is to make sure that the lending programs are more aggressive so that this money can be lent to local businesses who can then hopefully use that to create more jobs locally. In fact, that is what lawmakers like Mike Crapo, who's a Republican from Idaho, and that's what Senator Chuck Schumer have suggested. In fact, Chuck Schumer specifically suggested that the $200 billion be repurposed for long-term investments in communities of color. That's what Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has indeed proposed. Now, Federal Reserve and Treasury officials did say that the money had served a valuable purpose. Now, keep in mind, this wasn't just money this is money that's sitting there. But according to Federal Reserve and Treasury officials, this money did serve a valuable purpose because the availability of that money it served a valuable purpose because it helped unfreeze credit markets who were extremely panicked by the pandemic at the start of the year, which means the ability to lend money, the ability to borrow money, the liquidity of the market, the flow of cash in the economy was maintained by the Federal Reserve. And, they didn't want a situation where you go to the ATM and cash doesn't come out because there's no liquidity. The bank doesn't have any money. So they wanted to avoid horrific situations like that. And they added, meaning the Federal Reserve and Treasury officials, that the unused lending capacity may yet be needed if the economy gets worse. Now, I do want my viewers and subscribers to chime in below. Let me know in the comment section below if you think that this $259 billion of unused money can potentially be needed if, unfortunately, we get a turn for the worse. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But I want to know what you think in the comment section below. Also, again, I want to emphasize that this money can't simply be reallocated by an executive action towards stimulus checks. I mean, it would be helpful because I do believe that individuals who need help the most should get it. I'm going to repeat that again. Individuals who need help the most should get it. But the way the law is written is that Congress allocates the money. That money then goes into essentially a fund. And in this case, a significant portion of money in that fund, almost $260 billion in that fund is simply lying unused, which is very strange when you think about the state of the country right now. So according to a spokesperson from the Federal Reserve, the extraordinary Federal Reserve response, supported by Treasury's equity capital, has played a vital role in restoring liquidity and funding to credit markets and enhancing the flow of credit to American businesses, households, nonprofit organizations, and state and local governments. So the argument from the United States Treasury and the Federal Reserve is that credit continued flowing. In other words, if you wanted to get a credit card, you could. If you wanted to go to a bank and get a loan, you could. If a business needed money in order to be able to keep its employees on payroll, it could. The liquidity of money and the flow of money from point A to point B is what keeps economies going. Now, I know that many of my viewers and subscribers, there is no inflow of money. There is no cash coming in because you've lost your job, because your hours have been cut significantly. And I get that. But what the United States Treasury and the Federal Reserve is talking about is about essentially maintaining liquidity throughout the system, not having a situation where, like I said, you can't withdraw cash from the bank, or you can't get a loan, or you can't get a credit card. And, if you have excellent credit and you should be able to hopefully get a credit card now. I know that some banks are starting to change their requirements, but this is an attempt by the United States Treasury and the Federal Reserve to maintain liquidity throughout the system. The spokesperson also said, "We will continue to monitor the impact of these programs and will not hesitate to act as needed to support the economy." Take a look at another chart on your screen which shows you the lack of lending. In March and April, the Treasury and the Fed created programs capable of lending $1.95 trillion. So this is a broader effort I'm talking about here. Now, the one thing that some lawmakers are pushing for is that the lending requirements be made easier. Even though the US Treasury and the Federal Reserve tried to make liquidity happen throughout the system, if they ease the lending requirements, this money can actually be used by local businesses. I'll give you an example of one business that was mentioned in the Wall Street Journal, and this business is PS Furniture Inc. in Wisconsin, in Mequon, Wisconsin. Easier lending terms could help companies like PS Furniture Inc. of Mequon, Wisconsin, says company president Roger Clark. Its primary customers are small event rental businesses that have been clobbered by social distancing requirements. So we're talking about a small business in Wisconsin. As a result, PS Furniture sales tumbled from a pre-pandemic average of more than $1 million a month down to $450,000 in July. By the way, this is a 55% drop in revenue. The firm is not eligible for a Main Street loan because it does not meet the criteria for profitability. PS Furniture has reduced its headcount down to 34 employees from 50 employees before the pandemic, and it expects more layoffs. Mr. Clark said that the company needs at least a $300,000 line of credit, but that his bank is unlikely to provide it. He said, and I quote, "It is such an easy thing to solve given the fact that the pandemic is theoretically time constrained. You just need to get people past this rut in the road." Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Also, please share this video with friends and family members. I'd love to hear what you think about this unused money that's out there. I do want to repeat one more time that it's not possible to snap our fingers like that and just, have the money be allocated for stimulus checks. But do you think that it should be easier to borrow this money so that that money can then make its way through hopefully more jobs, more businesses, and then into your hands? I do want money to get into your hands, but I'm just reporting the facts and I'm reporting what is possible and what is not possible. I will never ever give you false hope on this channel. I'll give you actual numbers so you are an informed and educated citizen that's capable of making your own decision. I'm not going to give you false hope. I'm not going to string you along. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and also please share this video with friends and family members. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new from this video. If you don't know anything about me, check out my video on our channel. My name is Dr. Nitin Choda. You learn about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. So definitely check out my video. Now, please click like. Please subscribe, please enable notifications if you learned something new. It really helps out our channel, it helps out the YouTube algorithm, and it's your vote of confidence in us and the entire team behind the scenes at Referral Ignition. If you want to get alerts from us, get your cell phone out, send a text message with the word ignition or with the word time to 70,000, that's 70000, and you can get on our SMS alerts list, and you can opt out of the SMS alerts at any time. We'll send you important breaking news alerts. You can also get on our email list. Go to ignitiontime.com/alerts. That's ignitiontime.com/alerts, and you can get on our email list. You can opt out of our email list or our SMS list at any point in time that you want. Now, sometimes YouTube does not send out notifications. The notifications don't come on time. So bookmark our channel, youtube.com/ignition time. That's youtube.com/ignition time. Just bookmark it in your browser so you can visit our channel at any point in time, and that way you won't miss a single video. Speaking of notifications, you can follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. We release exclusive content specifically on Instagram. Now, you can also follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is also ignition_time. That's ignition_time. You can get breaking news and alerts from us on Twitter. Now, keep in mind, we release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. That's 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. So please make sure you click like, you subscribe, you enable notifications so you can get instant updates from us going forward. Thank you so much once again. Please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Thank you. Bye.